Hello and welcome everybody, I'm ZaphodX and I'm joined here by Marshall.
Hello there folks.
And we are here for Season 1 of Clanwars, where Promethean takes on the Cult. And we will play 2 games, one on each team's system. We see a couple of pings already coming out from Promethean as they ping their start points and exactly where they're going to spawn within their starting circles. And this is the Promethean home system. Do you want to talk a little bit about it, Marshall?
Yeah, sure. So it's 2 planets, only one of them is spawnable, and that is this rather large lava planet here. So interestingly, having a look at it and the metal distribution, it's really quite interesting. I'm not sure I've played on a map like this in a very long time. Not only is it big, so you're going to have a lot of transit time between units and bases and whatnot, but it's also got a lot of choke points there. What do you think of those?
Yeah, I like it. It's certainly not a small planet, is it? I wouldn't say it's huge, but it's definitely big. There's definitely going to be long travelling times for units, and there's so many little choke points and little connected areas between these large masses. And this is definitely the sort I would definitely like to play on this planet. It looks like a lot of fun. Lots of tiny little choke points connecting everything together, but looks great. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays. And not too much metal, is there?
Yeah, it's not too much, and it certainly seems to be rather localized as well. So
absolutely.
I think spawns is going to be a big thing, and now they're coming in, so we'll be able to have a look at where they've spawned and judge from there. Perfect timing.
There we go. So I'm looking at Promethean players in pink right now, and they formed a nice little triangle here. 2 of them spawning together, of course. They do have 3 spawn points to choose from. And then having a look at Cult as well, they have also decided to split up all of their players. And so they've kind of got opposite sides of the planet at the moment, and no doubt they will try and grab all the metal that's immediately near to them, connect their bases if possible, and then start moving towards the opponent while they try to gain map control.
Yeah, definitely need to, and I'm just going to ping to you, and I hope you can see that ping there. That is a rather isolated Promethean player there, and he's got a double spawn from Cult just across from him. Now, while Cult is in the geography there, so their expansion is going to be limited a little bit at the beginning of the game. They've got a lot of metal there, so as long as they can get out of that geography and send units across to that lonely Promethean player, they can do a lot of damage to that single commander spawn.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if these areas are connected. Sometimes they look like they might be, but they're not actually pathable over, so he may be more isolated than he looks. First scout flies immediately over him. I think they have an idea, perhaps, of where the spawn points are, but they go straight over there, and they now know where that one player is. He's already building docks and sending them out for some early raiding. Perhaps they also know where the spawns are.
Yeah, they have scouted that single Promethean player there, and another one just for good measure there. Firefly going over. He might just about get taken down. No, he does not, though a shot did go off. So ping there, and obviously the coordination coming out already saying send those docks over there rather than the other way because you got the guy over there. But a lot of docks coming over from that single spawn as well, so he definitely knows he needs to defend himself and get moving on the job, because Promethean has scouted that double commander spawn over there as well.
Yeah, he was very nice and aggressive getting out those 2 bot factories, getting them in there and sending those units out immediately so they can start doing some raiding. But we can see Cult already has their factories already producing. They've also gone all docks at the moment, building a teleporter as well, so potential there to reinforce their units around the planet. And sending in a good force of docks. They're now out-producing that single pink player by quite a huge amount and going to be able to put the pressure on him. Walls coming up as well from the Cult player across the planet. I'll put down a ping. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you got it. And they're putting up those walls. So we might see quite a lot more walls than we do normally in games. Walls seem to be underappreciated. I've been using them a lot more in my own games, and I've been realising just how useful they are. But the docks gets around, picks up an engineer kill there nicely. And we do still have that walled off now, so it makes him a lot safer.
Yeah, that's a really good wall in, and that's going to be quite important going in, especially in terms of defensive reasons, because that means now that Promethean is pretty much going to want to use the passage just to the south of that to be their main transit. And what they can even do, either player really at this point, is put a teleporter or a proxy base and try and control the mechs field in the middle of that little transit path there, which will be pretty key. But a little bit of raiding going on from Promethean here on the Cult expansions. They might get another Fabrikill there. Indeed, they do. They could get a couple more if they just move to the northwest there, but unfortunately they are retreating. They don't want to overextend themselves too much. And in other locations as well, the Promethean guys spreading out a lot of docks and doing a good bit of eco expansion as well over in this direction.
Yeah, doing a decent bit of raiding, really, as they managed to take out those engineers and hamper the expansion. Those mechs would have been very nice to pick up. Colt doing a good job of expanding, but if we look over at the Promethean player just here, they actually have an orbital launcher and an orbital and deep space radar built already. They've cleverly done this at the place where they have 2 players spawning, which I think is the right choice. They're going to have 2 players there, they're going to be able to get up more production, they're going to be a little bit safer, so it makes sense to get out of the orbital there. Also getting up a teleporter now.
And the orbital fabricator's going to the moon. Sorry, I just wanted to say that because...
No, you're right.
Because there's a lot of metal over there, but it's also halliable. It takes 3 engines. I can't really imagine them using the Haleys in this game unless they can really get ahead, especially given the way Colt is being quite so aggressive at the moment. But the extra eco will certainly be a boost, and it'll also provide them a little bit of a safe haven just in case they need to retreat a commander in a last-ditch escape.
Colt moving forwards with their docks now. Got to be very careful when they come up against tanks, but closing the distance, take care of those tanks before they can do too much damage. More tanks coming out, however, from Promethean. Got to be very, very careful. You don't want to get into a direct confrontation with tanks, because they do tend to overwhelm the docks pretty well. We actually see some Grenadiers in the mix as well for this Colt player here that walled himself off earlier. And they have managed to start retaking those mechs, but a couple of raiding docks are coming down towards them as well. Got to be careful of that. And I think really there's so much metal on this moon. Buns as that orbital fabber now moves over there. It looks like we've got an Archid as well. The radar satellite coming over this, so they can tell whether anyone else has landed. That's a good plan. And teleporter immediately going up now.
Now, crucially, Colt do not have any way of knowing about orbital intel. They have not built any deep space radar, and they haven't built any orbital launchers of their own. So Promethean have got a lot of free time in the orbital layer here that Colt do not know about, and that is particularly important, especially now that the teleporter is activated onto the moon. What's going to come through it first? I'll keep an eye on that in picture for you if you want to keep on the lava planet. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see some fabricators going through, or possibly even a commander from the double com spawn. Indeed, it looks as though we are just about to see one move through there.
Yeah, just a single engineer for now. A little bit of a surprise not to put a little bit more. The orbital fabber, they did send it back immediately, which kind of helps. And they're now currently hitting a air factory on Colt and taking that down with some reclaim, I think.
Yeah, they'll just be about to do that. Really.
Oh no, they're going for the power gens. Sorry, so they're taking down the power gens. That's almost a better idea, really. If you take down the power gens, you can really impact your opponent's eco.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty important. And it looks as though that double Colt spawn, in fact, is a quadruple now, as they've moved all of their commanders from their different spawns into there. So they've got all 4 commanders located. I see the beginnings of a Colt mega base coming on, and there's the orbital launcher now. They realise they have delayed a little bit, perhaps too much, into the orbital game. But looking around at the rest of their spawns, their other spawns are still alive and kicking. And in fact, they've got quite a sizable group of units over there, if you just follow that ping there. That's a lot of Grenadiers, a lot of mixed units as well. You've got some docks and some tanks there as well. And if all those need to do is just move around just a little bit, perhaps even link up with the units to their south, and they can perform a pretty large assault onto that Promethean player spawn there, despite the number of factories that are there.
Yeah, we do see a commander's actually moved onto the moon for Promethean, getting up some air factories as well. Nice fast air fabbers to try and transition around and capture everything. Still reclaiming with that orbital fabber for Promethean. A couple of tanks also coming around, destroying that air factory. They come against the commander though, probably going to get taken down.
So I didn't see that, but I just realised the implications of what they're doing on the moon. That's a lot of air fabbers already. And if they do that for T2 air fabbers as well, that means they'll be able to spam out the Haleys really, really quickly. Plus, given that Colt have moved all their commanders to one spot, that's a really easy corner pocket, if you will. If all they need to do is smash the moon into that one location, and they get all of the commander kills in one go. Meanwhile, however, that is something of a speculation as to the northwest side of their base. They've got quite a sizable force of tanks from Promethean pushing in there and holding a front line right on their doorstep, which really isn't good for them.
Yeah, we do see a switch up to tanks now from Colt, so they've got enough of their bots and actually switching up to tank factories. I definitely think that is something they need to be doing. Can't be just using bots, or they will eventually lose the tanks. And northern side of that mega base that they're beginning to start, Promethean sending in some tanks and beginning to put some pressure on. All their units are currently on the front lines trying to attack that other Promethean player, so left in a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, they got a little bit of harassment and on the other side as well, though they are handling it all right. But that other spawn just to their southeast there is sending all of their units down to the south to defend a further wall-ins as well. That's an interesting bit of pathing there, but a good mechs grab as well. But looking at the other side of the planet here, I'll pop a ping for you. That's a lot of map control and easy economic expansion that Promethean has unhindered there. That's pretty big.
And completely unprotected right now as well. Even a little bit more over there they haven't even managed to take, but working on it with an engineer. And Southern Base has had a little bit of raiding going on it for Colts. They've lost a little bit of ground there and a couple of mechs. Interesting to see all their commanders in one place. I guess they just want to keep them a little bit safer and make sure that they are okay. Moving all of the three of those commanders northwards now to try and defend against these tanks.
Yeah,
that could help, but the commander just not really too great at combat.
Yeah, he's not too great, certainly with his movement speed. I mean, he needs to get close enough, and with those tanks just sort of goading those commanders out, they don't necessarily want to do that, but with triple uber cannon possibilities, they've got more than enough power to repel that force, but of course it would be at a risk of a bit of commander health damage, and they don't necessarily want to get rid of that. But over here, I believe we have a commander being reclaimed from orbit. Well, certainly the possibility of it to occur.
It does look like it. He's taken a little bit of damage. I'm not sure what from. Still reclaiming power gens, it looks like, but he's taken some damage. And it looks like Colt hasn't really worked out what is going on here. They must have seen all these power gens disappearing, and they're trying to keep building them, but haven't realised that the orbital is the thing that's really hurting them right now. Something I often do. I'm concentrating so hard on the ground war, I totally forget that there was a second planet here I needed to deal with.
I'm looking from their point of view, and they still have no orbital intel whatsoever, and as their bases and map control on the lava planet is dwindling and gets more and more sort of sparse and dislocated and separated from each other, they're going to find themselves in a bit more of a sticky situation in terms of rerouting their units, especially if you look over on the moon now. Promethean have completely expanded there, claimed nearly all of the metal over there, and they're getting up some P-gens as well, so that's a lot of free eco for them. I think they did a really good job of realising that was going to be a real bit of importance for them there.
It's 1/3 of the metal that's on the lava planet, but of course, rather than trying to share it with your opponent, they've all got it themselves right now, and they've grouped up pretty tightly with, it looks like about 8 air fabbers there, so they're building the mechs very, very quickly on their own, and they've nearly covered that whole planet now.
Yes, they have. Back on the main planet, though, a little bit more of an aggressive front from Promethean, just over there where I just pinged, starting to group their units together a bit more and make an assault on the sort of semi-mega base over there, as they realise they don't necessarily need to put quite so much pressure on the southern spawn. Although, having said that, there's a lot of docks moving in there, and they can get a couple of good fabber kills. You don't want to move too close to those tanks, though, because they're quite grouped up. Moving north, though, they'll take out those 2 fabbers. But yeah, I mean, the big problem for them now, for Colt at least, is this large number of factories over here, and that's a lot of vehicle factories as well. Whereas in Colt's base, you've got a lot of bots again, and of course we all know that bots don't go favourably against vehicles.
Yeah, making headway on those vehicle factories, and looking at the army tab now, they're leading by 750 to 220 units. They're just going to completely outproduce them, leading 50 factories to 35 right now. A couple of bombers also in the mix now for Promethean. That's something they hadn't pulled out before, and that'll help them wage the ground war a little bit more. We also see some T2 actually towards the northern side. They've gone for some T2 bots, already started some T2 power gens as well, and another T2 bot factory also going down. And at this stage, maybe they could be using teleporters a little bit more, to be honest, especially with all the transit times in on this size of planet.
Yeah, they really haven't used those teleporters particularly brilliantly, though on the north side there, Commander running away from a large number of tanks there. They are going to catch up to him as a few start getting their hits off as he starts to take damage now, below 80%, and that's a huge number of tanks, and I don't think he's going to survive against this one. No Ubercans coming off just yet, he falls below 50, below 20 now, and he's gone. So that's one Commander loss from Promethean, Colt, really well played from Promethean, and that leaves the northern side of that base completely undefended, because of course tanks versus docks, as we've already as said, is more than a favourable matchup. And just looking over the rest of the base there, there's really starting to lose their unit numbers, and in the tab 760 increasing down to 158 and decreasing, so it's really not looking good for Colt at the moment.
Yeah, they do still have their southern base and the northern one with all the commanders in, but now having their last, the other base being run over by a couple of tanks and more reinforcements also coming in with more tanks, that base is going to be gone at any minute now, which leaves them with 2 bases now. southern one is relatively unprotected, doesn't have a huge amount of metal, and the northern one with all their commanders currently all bunched up as well. Yeah, lovely sort of place to get a nuke, to be honest.
Yeah, really would.
Three commanders on top of each other.
Yeah, and one of them is injured as well, so a single nuke would take that commander down, because he's below 90% health. I believe nukes do 90 damage to a commander, do they not?
I think they do 10k, which would leave him with 2.5. So he's pretty close to death, and a couple of T1 bombers is always nice to finish them off after that. We do see T2 Air and T2 Eco now going up on the moon.
Yeah, the T2 Air is going to allow them to get even more eco, and possibly the Haleys as well. But personally, I don't think they need to use the Haleys. They might just do it out of sheer awesome and just to salt the wound, if you will. But you've got 3 commanders here building P-gens, because that is obviously their highest priority.
I think they've lost a lot of P-gens, and they're still being reclaimed right now by this one orbital fabber, who has single-handedly destroyed the entire power infrastructure of the cult.
He has, but you say that, but they're still floating their power because they've lost all those factories from the north there, and now the commander's taking damage there, down below 30%. A few more Uber cannons would really go miss.
Spreading their fire as well, intentionally not killing the commanders. That's a great move. They're trying to kill this third commander before that one blows up and they lose all their units. So they did a decent bit of damage there to the commanders before they lost their units. That was a good idea.
Units coming in from the other side of the mountains now are going to be able to finish them off, taking down the commander that was less damaged as well. And now there's more than enough damage on both of those commanders for them to chain link their explosions.
Yeah, the last few units coming in. Orbital Fabber as well can also help with reclaiming those commanders. He's actually going to work on one of them. There we go, double explosion to finish it.
Really well played there from Promethean. I think they got their priorities sorted out. I think Cult were in... I don't know what their real strategy was, because they sort of spawned apart and moved together. I don't see why they did that, necessarily.
Well, we can ask them, for sure.
We can indeed. Let's grab Cupo from Cult.
Commander taking fire.
Hello there, Cupo.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, not very good.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what happened or what your plans were?
Well, I didn't really have that good an overview. I was trying to micro like specific bell. I think we got a decent start, but didn't really manage to squeeze the guy we had in between us, which was kind of the plan.
And you moved all your commanders over to one base. Was that just to keep them a little bit safer or in the same place?
Well, it was both to keep them safer, but not having like making them less susceptible to bomber snipe, but also to actually use them as defense against the back flank in that base. Give us some time to push harder towards the front.
Which position were you in?
I was doing the commanding of the big base.
Oh, right, okay. So you started off with quite a few docks and then transitioned over to tanks, but couldn't really put enough pressure on that Promethean player that was on his own.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you think maybe you could have transitioned to tanks a bit earlier?
Yeah, we started putting a bit of tanks like towards the rear, but we should have put them in the front and also like a bit closer to his base. We also should have been for them building tanks from multiple directions as well. But we couldn't really get the guy to our south to really make it up there because he was like walled off. He should have tried to circle around, I guess, and get some vehicle factors up. Yeah,
that might have helped actually putting the pressure in from those two sides and stopping them from expanding as well.
Yeah.
So unfortunately didn't manage to get into orbital in that game. Did you just forget, or are you concentrating too much on the main planet?
Yeah, I concentrated too much on the main planet. It's pretty expensive to get orbital.
Yeah, it does add up, and it takes a long time before you get enough mechs to actually pay off for that investment.
At what point did you guys realise that perhaps you'd neglected it a bit too much? I mean, because Promethean was reclaiming a lot of your stuff from orbit for the majority of the second half of that game.
I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
Yeah, as you were building P-gens in the main base, they were just reclaiming it from the other end, so everything you were building was getting reclaimed as you built it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess nobody put up the orbital radar.
Yeah, it looked unfortunate. Poor commander just kept building more power gens as more power gens blew up.
Poor commander, goddamn.
Okay, so we're going to play on your system now. Are you a little bit more confident on your system?
Yeah, a little bit. That's why I picked this one first.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, well, we'll wish you good luck if you want to host up that next game, and we'll talk to Promethean in the meantime.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello there, Starlet.
Hello.
Good game.
Yeah,
And
that was a really good game. Yeah.
what do you take coming out of that, now that you've sort of beaten Cult on their new home system again? Oh no, that was your system, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was our system.
Oops. Brain fart.
Oh.
Yeah, so what I meant to say, what do you think going into their system?
Into their system. Well, I'm not playing, but I don't know what to say. Basically, I have no idea what to say actually.
That's fair enough.
So that game went pretty well for you. It seemed like you just mostly played pretty solid. Went for teleporters a little bit late. Nothing wrong with that. Didn't manage to use them too much in the end. Didn't have to, I don't think. And went for orbital relatively early with your dual commander base. That seemed like a good idea. Everything seemed to work out for you, really.
Yeah. Yeah, we originally planned to take the moon first. Like, as long as we had the moon under control, everything would be fine. Like, even if we lost some of our bases on the main planet, we'd still have the moon to, like, send resources. But we didn't end up having to use the moon as much as we would have liked, because we were doing fine on the planet. Like, we weren't experiencing as much pressure as we would have thought. But, yeah, we played really well. We were going to use the moon, but I guess we didn't have to. And yeah, that's basically it.
Well, I gave you a good bit of eco for the majority of the game, but it was good to see that you went mostly vehicles pretty much from the get-go. I mean, there were a couple of spawns that went a bit docks heavy at the beginning, but transition to vehicles early certainly paid off for you in that game, I think.
Yeah, it's a pretty small map, the first one, so vehicles was probably the right thing to do, and there's a lot of choke points and stuff, so vehicles, like, yeah, we basically went vehicles earlier because docks aren't as effective, like the raiding, because all the mexes are like kind of close to other people's bases, so we didn't consider them as effective. So yeah, vehicles was why we chose it.
Fair enough. Everything's quite clustered as well for the metal, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. There were some parts where like it was in between each other's bases, and they kept on raiding some of my metal. It was really annoying.
Okay, well, we'll wish you luck on Cult System. I think they're hosting up now, and we'll see you in the next game.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Here we go. Hello and welcome everybody to Game 2 in this Promethean versus the Cult matchup in Clanwars Season 1 as presented by ExodusEsports.com. I'm ZaphodX and I'm joined here by Marshall.
Hello there, folks, and of course we're on Cult System now. It is a massive planet, it is a massive eco house, and it's going to have massive amounts of action, I would expect.
I think it'll have massive amounts of units, for sure.
Yeah.
We're on 1,000 radius. We can see here it's 801 metal points across this entire planet. So, not for a lack of metal. Power will certainly be the limiting resource. Very important to get as much power as you can, because you do have a lot of metal pretty much in all directions. And a decent bit of water as well, so you never know. You might see a little bit of naval coming out.
I personally don't think we will. I don't think the bodies of water are connected enough or present enough control over the land masses to warrant naval. I think air superiority is definitely going to be a thing, however.
Yeah, I think I'm just too stuck in my old ways of beta, when it used to be like if you had a puddle of water, you sure as hell got some orcas out so that you could defend against legions of tanks coming at you.
Oh yeah, this is so good at defending. I don't know, it'll be really interesting to see, but the players are spawning in now, and let's have a look at where they've gone. So we've got some Cult players on the north in a double spawn, Promethean players in a double spawn just to the south of them, and everyone else appears to be in single spawns dotted around the map.
They are indeed, so it looks like Cult have indeed gone for 3 spawns apart from each other. Didn't want to stay a little bit closer. which might make things a little bit more difficult for them, because the southern player is very isolated at the moment and could come under a lot of attack from the north and even the right hand side of him as well. So needs to be wary of that.
Yeah, he certainly does, as does the other chappie there. He's just to the south of his double spawn in the north, but he's got water around him as well. But they're going lots of docks again. So both of the single spawns have gone for docks, and the northern spawn as well gone for docks. Let's have a look at what the Promethean players are going for. Docks as well, and air in the pond.
Yeah.
With other docks in the single spawns. So no vehicle transitions just yet. Perhaps just wanting to get docks everywhere for map control and just get scouting out before you go to vehicles.
Yeah, I think they need those fast-moving docks early on, defending as they start to expand. And I think certainly Promethean will probably make a switch up to tanks and just they'll be slow, but they can move them around. Certainly, if you start using some teleporters, then you can neglect the speed of the tanks and use them to get all over the place very quickly. A little ping comes out there from Colt as they do scout the Promethean player that's sitting in the water right now.
Yeah, and they've seen the triple air factories there as well. One has just produced a bomber, so it looks as though Promethean is definitely on the ball when it comes to air superiority. But the other Cult players perhaps beginning to transition to vehicles over by the pond there. I'll just ping it for you. So they're definitely on the right track there, and they've got up a static anti-air as well, so they're not taking any chances for any early bomber harass, which is good to see as well. But so many fabricators in that one spawn, that's incredible.
I think they can afford to do it. When a lot of people, they're playing on smaller planets and they're playing some 1v1s, and you forget that in team games on planets that are this large, you can afford to go much more fabricators and do a lot more heavy ecoing early on, because you're unlikely to come up against too much early pressure, and you just got to be careful against bombers. And those bombers are actually at the north side now for Promethean. Scouting fighter there goes over an engineer that's expanding to build mechs, and he's going to get taken out as that bomber drops the bombs and the engineer does not get away there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So no further mechs for that particular fabricator. They might even get off another one there just by the radar. He doesn't manage to move out in time, does then fly over the commander, and the bomber gets taken down. But a couple of good fabicills there, but I think Cult do have an excess of fabricators. As we can see, their energy is not looking too good at the moment, though they've got two commanders there desperately trying to get up energy and more factories. I mean, if you look at their queue there, they've got so many P-gens already queued up in the double spawn.
Indeed. Pings also coming out from Promethean as they see a couple of the Cult players, one of the southern player, and that's someone they might concentrate on pretty heavily because he is very isolated at the moment. And Doc's coming in, going to take out an engineer from that southern Cult player, and now just going to work their way through all of these mechs that have already been built. There are, however, Docs are on the way to deal with them. They're going to come in there and get rid of them, hopefully before they can do too much more damage, going towards that other engineer that was expanding. And if they do lose this engineer and those two that are building power gens there.
Yeah, they're not going to lose those. They have been chased off, so that is good to see. But I think that was a good bit of harassment. They didn't really take down that much eco, but when economy is this dense, I don't think that's really the point in the raiding and the harassment. I think it's more just to keep your opponent on their toes rather than anything. But we've got a large group of Docs moving in from the northeast there onto the southern spawn. This could do a lot of damage because there really isn't that many units to counter this. Two fabricators go down, more metal is going to start to go down as well, and I think Promethean taking out this metal is a really good idea. They're moving in a bit of air support as well, and the difference between the metal income now of the two players is going to be accentuated, but we're already in triple figures, almost halfway to 1k metal income, so they're floating, so it's not doing too much damage, but even so, any economic downturn isn't particularly good for you, especially when it's power on a map like this, which they've just lost a good few power gens.
So a decent group, and more groups actually coming in already. All of these Docks, it looks like they are going to go pretty much for Docks for that sheer speed and moving them to where they need to be. More raiding happening all over the place than Promethean already putting the pressure on. I was going to say things are actually pretty even on the eco state, certainly still on power, but they've begun to lose a little bit of metal for Cult. And on the army tab, not leading by a huge amount from Promethean. They're actually only trailing 28 factories to 31, but they do have more mobile forces right now, and using them to a good advantage as they start taking out more power gens at the southern cult base.
Yeah, and the commander's queued up a teleporter as well. He's not going to hang around. He wants to leg it to a different base, which I think is perhaps a good idea. I mean, or at least a different location. But it just means that Promethean then can focus all their forces in one location rather than in multiple, as we already see the 3 commanders in the Vega base on the North Pole, so they're already gathering their commanders. They really haven't been aggressive enough again, these cult players, whereas Promethean have moved out, they've got map control, they've expanded, they've got air superiority, whereas Promethean, the only player who's really sort of moved out is the one in the near the ponds there, but his commander's moved away.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of expanding multiple areas, but I think they also need more production now.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. So we got still a reasonable number of factories, but they actually have more factories than Promethean do at 40 to 35. So while it's all right, they do still need more factories, of course, because they've got a lot of eco, so they may as well use it. And it also seems as though they've learned from last game there, penning up the orbital defences and deep space radar there, just in case.
A lot of air units moving north, Marshall, from Promethean, big group, and a lot of fighters mixed in as well to protect them. A whole load of Fabbers also moving north, so perhaps they're going to put up a teleporter to come through with a surprise attack. Coming in with those bombers now, going to go straight for a commander, it looks like. They're just flying over one. Are they going to choose a target?
They've gone for a teleporter to put down there. I just pinged it for you. That's where they've queued up a teleporter. Although they're just about to run into a whole bunch of hummingbirds by the look of it.
I'm not sure they're going for the anti-air there.
There's the teleporter.
Yep, I see that going up. So their bombers come in there trying to do some damage. They don't quite take out the radar, which I think was their plan. A whole load of pings coming out.
It's not from me, there's the teleporter link. But a lot of docks moving in. That teleporter's not going to be too long for this world, and all those air fabricators are going to get taken down as well, so no extra teleporters are going to go up, and that one does get taken down before any units go in, so really well responded to there from Cult. Not great from Promethean there. They missed a really great opportunity to do a bit of damage there, and potentially even take out a commander. But to get Cult back on even more of a back foot. But looking at that naval spawn there from Promethean, that's so many air factories.
Yep, building more as well. Also going for the T2 air. Good work there. Advancing a little bit more. Trying to put on a little bit of pressure with their docks in multiple areas. But kind of made a mistake there. They built their teleporter and they didn't manage to get any units through to actually help support it. So maybe building it a little bit further out. A bit more protection might help.
Yeah, I think they were a little bit overzealous with regards to their teleporter placement there. I think they definitely overextended themselves. But what's intriguing for me is that they've left this Promethean spawn by the ponds relatively alone. I mean, they're doing a bit of raiding just to the east there, not taking down too much, but they've got enough units to do so. But still, I mean, that Promethean spawn there seems relatively quiet, but they've got so much space where they could be putting up a lot of build production and get a lot of units out to start laying siege to the Promethean spawn.
Southern cult player is in a huge amount of trouble as the docks have come out of a teleporter, going to chase him straight down and take care of that commander before he even notices what's happened. And he gets shot down. That commander's going to blow.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
And leaving all the tanks north of it to clear up the factories as well. So he's down. Nice little teleporter work there, and I think teleporters is really the way to go on a planet this size. So maybe even getting out some orbital fabrics is also going to help. All of these air units are keep being rebuilt and helping to finish off a lot of the areas that have been expanded to by Cult. Good work here from Promethean. So fast air units and teleporters I think is definitely a good strategy to go for on a planet like this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And now it's just a case of wrapping up the remains on that sort of southern sort of bits and bobs from Cult there. So those vehicles just move in and around. There is a teleporter still there, so Cult could send some units to go and assist it. But it looks as though they're going to leave it alone, which is unfortunate. But again, of course, in a game like this, you don't necessarily want to destroy an army that's just like that when you know your opponent's got such massive build power. You want to be able to do damage to that build power, which is much more important than just losing units to trade off with the other units.
Mm.
Good bit of air support raiding.
Yeah, it looks like Promethean's going to move back for now. Another thing is, as long as you have enough bombers, you can also take care of a lot of mechs really nice and easily with them, and do some raiding like that using bombers.
Yeah, that's pretty good then. I'm not yeah, they're just going to fly over the rest of that base there, kill off a lot of fabricators on the way, a lot of them going down. But a good number of bombers do go down as well. I think there was a static AA there, still doing a good bit of work.
Excuse me.
But, I mean, I don't know, things seem oddly quiet from the cult players. They don't really seem to be doing anything of any substance, which is a bit disappointing because, you know, you've got Promethean with T2 Eco going up now in their base there with the T2 P-gens, while you've got Cult sort of on the north spawn, not even, well, they started getting T2, but they don't have enough units to really do anything. If we look in the army tab there, they have a lot of docks.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to tell sometimes when you're looking at docks and tanks. A lot of air units being built and a lot of bombers as well. If we look at the pond for Promethean, also moving, we see a couple of pings coming out from Promethean moving north. They're going to put down another teleporter there using 9 fabbers, so that'll go up very, very quickly. And I think they're ready for a move, but Cult is ready for a move as well as they start moving south, sending their fighters there to protect their units as well. Tanks leading the way, and docks are right there to start moving in as well. Been pinged by Promethean. I think they're going to want to get their forces in there. They've moved all their air units over there as well, so they can start carpet bombing these forces if necessary, and going to get those tanks up in a line to defend. And fighters also chase down those air fabbers, take down the air fabbers. Some of the units beginning to come through this pink teleporter towards the north side. Bombers, however, targeting it down as quickly as they can. And Promethean now sending in their fighters and bombers, try and take out those tanks before they get too close. And units still filtering through that teleporter. It does get taken down. Some of them are already there though, and we're going to see a big air war coming in here.
Oh wow.
I think Promethean has the numbers though.
Yeah, they're also going to lose a lot of bombers in there perhaps as well, because they are on top of the interceptors effectively from Cult, but the bombers now coming in, the interceptors going in as well, so they'll be able to get the scout off and might perhaps find some commanders, and then the bombers can follow in as well for a couple of good commander snipes, because there's more than enough there to get a good number of commander snipes off, and they might even go for the commander in the middle of the spawn there, but it seems as though they're deciding not to at this point, which is odd, because they could definitely get one.
Yeah, maybe they just want to get their units over there for now. I definitely think some more teleporters. Just keep putting up teleporters until you can start getting units up there and putting the pressure on them. I think they have enough units to do it.
Yeah, certainly, as we see from the south, southern approach, that's a lot of units coming up, and it's a good mix as well, and of course that bombing run there took out pretty much most of the defending units from Cult, as now the numbers are pretty much even, 908 to 901. Well, they're fluctuating so much, so it's really pretty much arbitrary at this point in the game, but that's still pretty much a good clump there, and there's even a combat fabber in there as well. That's interesting to see. I don't really think it's going to keep many units alive, but it's keeping a few tanks alive, actually, having said that, so that's pretty good, actually.
Interestingly, right now, both teams run about 900 mobile forces, but I think all of Colts are in at the equator base here, not doing anything right now, not at the northern base where all the pressure is being put on them, as we see two-pronged attacks coming in now. One coming in to the left next to the crack and one coming in next to the pool. A couple of docks are trying to defend, but a whole load of tanks are probably going to take them out very quickly without any losses. And going to start attacking the T2 mechs as well from Colt, which is not good for their eco right now.
Yeah, it really isn't, and of course they've really lost the majority of their map control there. They do have quite a bit of expansion to the other side, but again it's all very not particularly defended. Plus, in addition to that, you've got all the commanders still sat in the northern spawn there, so they only really need to take out the northern spawn. They don't necessarily need to worry about the rest of the map control from Cult, because all the commanders are heavily localized there.
Yeah, I think going for the main base and doing as much damage as they can to them there is probably going to do the most damage overall, and probably allow them to get rid of the commanders before they can escape, as long as they do it right. Promethean's still putting pressure in other areas along the planet, though.
Yeah, but there's a huge air force here, which is just about to take out a raiding force of docks there. It's absolutely mowed into submission there. It's absolutely ridiculous, and that's more than enough bombers in there for a commander snipe as well, plus interceptors to defend them. It certainly doesn't look good for the cult players on the north, because they've got a lot of tanks in their base now as they break through the T2 factories there. And I think there are a few catapults as well being put up to try and desperately defend, but again, there's no real use in defending when your opponent has got quite as much as they have. I mean, you can only defend until your opponent cracks the shell, you know, and I think the shell has been cracked a long time ago in this instance. But Cult, unfortunately, I don't think reacted in the way that they needed to, and they really didn't play aggressively enough. Just like last time on their home system, it's really odd that they didn't push out a lot earlier.
I think they did an alright job. They certainly played much better than last time, splitting up, expanding. I think they did a good try, but Promethean just... they're a strong team, and they had the right units in the right places. I really think they could defend this attack coming in at the north. The only problem is they're behind on air, which means they can't use bombers to defend against this, and that's their big problem right now. These air units are what's really stopping them from defending this attack at the north.
And they don't have any flak either, so they could use their T2 fabbers that remain to get up some flak, but again, there's so many tanks that are there. I don't know. I'm not sure they'll have an easy time defending against those tanks. They'll be able to defend against them, but I think at a cost of a bit of commander health. I think they're definitely going to have to use some uber cannons to go and take those out. But they have a couple of T2 fabbers here and there, which can perhaps add a bit of backbone to the defence. But there's more than enough bombers there to, I reckon, snipe 2 commanders simultaneously.
I would say not 2. I think perhaps 1, but
well, with the
they have enough
interceptors
bombers
drawing
being
the fire.
built. Yeah, possibly. Hard to split up the fire though. I think they've got enough bombers coming out to send an attack pretty soon after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably go for bombers for the win and keep pushing forwards with units right now. Setting up, now that they've managed to crack the shell, as you say, I think now they could start making teleporters and getting them set up without Colt being able to stop them, which would help them stream their units straight in.
Yeah.
There we go.
Those back in. So
Game
let's see
will
what they do
continue.
with the aircraft. They've found a commander on his own. They're going to get a commander snipe there. They're going to lose a lot of their aircraft there. They just lost their entire air force.
They lost a lot of the fighters though. They've still got a decent amount of
Yeah.
bombers left.
They do. They'll be able to take down a bit of mechs there with those.
And ground forces now coming into the main base. Getting thinned out fairly quickly though, so not going to be too many of them left soon enough. All the bombers looks like they're actually moving south, perhaps to assist with these ground units, pushing against the equator base for Colt. No, they're going to move north again. Ground units still filtering forwards in towards the northern base.
They are, and it's... I don't know, it's going to be really tricky for Colt to be able to do anything from this. I think even if they can defend against this, I don't think they can counter-attack to pull this round to a win. I think this
It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I think this is a foregone conclusion. They are trying to get up a bit of flak there. Fortunately, will a commander go down in the time? He does lose a bit of health there, down to 75. Looks as though the flak will go up though, which is a pretty big bonus actually, especially with the way that Promethean are clumping their air together, and you're going to be able to see that and realise that perhaps they need to move to nuclear armaments to finish this game. I certainly would have had that thought occur to me at this point, because they've certainly got Colt contained. There's no doubt about that.
We've seen comebacks from worse situations though. We actually see a nuke is actually being assisted a decent amount by a lot of T2 engineers, so there's a lot more build power on that. Let me put a ping out for you. Just here from Promethean.
Ah, there it is.
And already now 80% of the way through, so not long left for that nuke, and that will really do a huge amount of damage. In fact, it doesn't matter too much about this Equator base. If they concentrate on all the commanders up there at the north, they'll be able to do a lot of damage. Whole load of bombers coming in. I think, yeah, the fighters are fighting over. They know exactly where they want to strike, and in they come. Pings coming out of those commanders. And I think they're going to go for the high health one, because their nuke can finish off the other commander. Wow, they changed their minds.
Yeah,
no
they didn't
idea
commit.
why.
They didn't commit. There goes the nuke now, but they didn't commit the bombers, and they lost all of them to the flak subsequently. But the nuke is coming in, and I think both of the commanders are on low enough health that the nuke will take them down. I think they realise what's coming in, perhaps, as they're running them apart from each other. So I don't think it's far enough apart though, as the nuke is on its way. Let's follow them.
Yeah, I think one of them will definitely survive. The one towards the south definitely won't. I think the other one will survive with a sliver. But that nuke now, it's already 50% of the way through another nuke, so they can power that out like crazy. That goes that nuke.
One commander goes, two go.
Oh,
and
I
Colt
think
is
one of the
out.
commander explosions killed the other commander, so that ends the game for them. GGs get called there by the teams. And Promethean win 2-0 in this game. Gonna get a nice few points to put on the leaderboard for themselves. Congratulations.
Yep. Shall we talk to the players?
Yeah, let's get them in here.
Providing I can alt-tab out successfully. If you wouldn't mind dragging them in, I seem to be having a few issues at my end.
Yeah, we'll drag them both in. Hello there, guys. How you doing?
Oh, hello.
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 So, Stolit, we'll start with you. How did that game go? Seemed okay?
Well, I wasn't in it, but based on what I was watching, they did a fantastic job.
Oh, I see. You weren't in it. Just noticed.
No. Yeah, they can't seem to figure out how to work the mumble in my clan for some reason.
We've got Nero here. Can he work it out?
He was trying to, but he couldn't figure out how to get the sound, like his microphone working.
Okay, let's talk to Cubo while we wait. How's it going, Cubo? How did that go for you?
Well, it didn't go too well. I wanted to get at least a couple of commander kills in, but we didn't manage to pull it off.
Yeah, it seemed unfortunate. Looking at the stats, you weren't too far behind in eco, and looking at the units as well, you weren't actually far behind in units at all. It just seemed like Promethean putting their units in all the right places and going a little bit heavier on air than you guys were.
Yeah.
It seemed like a right nightmare. It seemed like you could definitely defend that North Pole if you just had some more air units, but they spammed out so many. They built a lot of air units.
Yeah, they definitely got the air control. Like, especially on these bigger planets, it's pretty tough when you lose it.
Yeah,
It's hard to
really
catch up and keep like a good area of influence. Like, keep influence over the big areas, pretty tough.
Definitely. Which base were you starting in, Cupo?
I was on the North Pole, actually, controlling the military.
Alright, okay. And it looks like you went for mostly bots most of the game?
Yeah, went for a pretty heavy bot force this game as well.
I think Promethean did the same thing. It's such a big planet, it's nice to have them moving around fast. I wasn't really sure what everyone would go for. I thought perhaps tanks, but I think both teams went for docks quite heavily.
And not too much T2 until the sort of mid to late game there. Despite the amount of eco, did you not want the slammers perhaps?
Yeah, slammers would be nice to get them up. For sure.
You also did pretty nice defending at the North Pole. There were a couple of teleporters they tried to put down, and you managed to shut them down before they really caused any damage to you.
Yeah. Yep. But I think they had a really big base actually, like line of vehicle production coming in from like since we're on the North Pole, I can't really orient in which direction it was. But like on one of the sides, not like if we had spotted that earlier, we could have maybe put up pressure and wiped them out because we had like a constant pressure in the back, so it was pretty tough. And when you go for the like big dogs build, you really want to keep like them. Of course, you get the mobility, but on the other hand, you're not that strong like a head-on assault.
Yeah, absolutely.
So having those vehicle factories close to us, really, I think that's like really what crippled us from really like getting going, like get snowballing, like take shit out.
Yeah.
It like pushed us into a pretty defensive mode. Like even if we got the portals down, like they still had vehicles coming up close. So tough.
Yeah, definitely tough.
But obviously they're cheating, and all their computers are better than ours, and our girlfriends are hotter than theirs, and have better internet connections,
Wow.
and yeah, I don't know. They're probably spectating also and cheating. So I don't really know what to say, guys. I feel like it's not really a loss in my book. Maybe a draw.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
They won in military power, but we won in honor and dignity. So I don't know. In my book, it's a draw. But on a little bit more serious note, we also have two of our regulars couldn't show up tonight. So we had two stand-ins.
Yeah.
It's nice that you managed to get players to stand in though. That's great. Would have been a pity if you couldn't turn up today. So thanks for turning up. Good games.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was really good.
Good stuff. So, Starlet.
Yeah, Clan has a problem with mumble, so I guess I'll just say what I thought.
Sure.
Well, I guess Colt went for a really eco build in the beginning of the match, and they raided really well, and they crippled the guy in the south, and they basically destroyed the economy of Colt in the few 5 first minutes. So that gave them a really good head start, I have to say. And they just continued, and once they took care of the guy with the south, they only had to focus on the guy in the north. I don't know why they left the guy in the middle with so much mechs. They probably should have raided a little more, but they did a fantastic job and basically shut them down.
Yeah. Well played. Yes,
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thanks to you guys for turning up. And,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Best of luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.